Now, there's also a small sociology, and the only micro-soc is the interactionist view. Now, interactionist view means between small groups and individuals. And so this is micro-sociology. This is where sociology and psychology blend together. This is where social psychology comes in. So the interactionist view is how it affects you in your everyday life. So we can take the war in Iraq. Doesn't matter if it's Obama or Bush. You'll hear the dominant ideology from the president, the people in power, and they will say, we're in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan because of these reasons, and they will state the manifest reasons for being there. To protect ourselves from attack from terrorists, to fight the battle over there instead of here, to make ourselves safer, that goes on. I have a couple boys in the military. I'm not anti all that, but you get the idea. The dominant group gives the dominant ideology. The conflict view would say, yeah, are we in the war in Iraq because of that, or are we there because Cheney wants to make his buddies rich? Are we there because people want oil contracts and we want the oil that they have? Are we there for other reasons, unstated, hidden, latent reasons? That's the conflict view. Okay? Now, the interactionist view of the war is, how does that affect you in your everyday life? Now, if you don't have anybody or know anybody who's over there, it probably doesn't affect you very much. However, I have a son right now in Afghanistan. It affects me every day. I light a lot more candles, and I pray a lot more when they're overseas. Don't some of you whose husbands and wives are over there now, or family, friends, or relatives who are serving? That's how the war affects us interactionist-wise. So can you see something like war, and can you see three views of it? Can you see every personal trouble, divorce, and then see three views of it? There's a traditional view, and we'll say marriage should be between a man and a woman, and marriage should be traditional, and marriage should be a stable home and kids to grow up in, and then the conflict view would say, yeah, but marriage is and then marriage doesn't need to be between just men and women, and we're a diverse nation and we need to be more diverse. And you have that battle, and then you have marriage, how it affects you at a micro-sociology level, and that's your relationship with someone else, and how that marriage is going for you, and how you feel about it. If you're getting divorced, it's sure going to affect you, isn't it? So George Herbert Mead is going to be our developmental sociologist, kind of like Piaget is for psychology. Now, Mead is going to be an interactionist, a small world guy. Anytime you do an experiment on a test and it says a study was done, it's interactionist view. Why? Because it's small world. It's small groups of people. So reality is created in the process of social interaction. That's the tenet of interactionism. Reality is created during social interaction. Stimulus response reinforcement is what psychology teaches. Sociology teaches stimulus interpretation, assignment of meaning, response, reinforcement. So we talked about yelling fire in a theater, first lecture. Stimulus, interpretation, response. You interpret things one way, I interpret a different way. That creates conflict and arguments. Do you guys agree? If we see it the same way, we're fine. You agree and I agree. So who are we going to hang with? People who interpret the same way we do. And then if they don't, we'll try to talk them into it. So Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners can be a lot of fun sometimes, when somebody tries to talk somebody else out of their view. Doesn't usually work. His theory is called the dramaturgical approach. It's an interactionist view. Now, before we get too caught up in dramaturgical approach, what that means is drama, like a play. And so he says the world is like a play. And then it's Shakespeare who says we come in, we play different roles, and people enter one role and exit a role throughout our life. So Goffman's going to say the world is a play and you're an actor in the play. And there are roles for you to play, and scenes, and props, and a front stage and a backstage. The front stage is public, and the view you have of me. The backstage is the view that people know me have of me, things we hide from you. There's a big university back behind those doors here, you know, where there's mailboxes and ice boxes and lunchrooms and faculty lounges and things you guys don't get to see. That's backstage. Now, a role is expectation of behavior, how we expect you to act. You guys are in student role in here. I'm in professor role. We now have two professors. One's very young. He got his master's at OSU. The first day of class, he will sit up in the chairs with you guys. And he'll have a white t-shirt on and a pair of jeans and a backpack. And he looks like a very young student. And he'll sit up there and say, "Well, have you heard about this professor?" And everybody will start talking about the professor, if they know anything. Usually not much. And then he'll say, "Well, are they going to show up or not? They coming to teach this class? It's 5 minutes after starting time. Where are they?" And everybody will be wondering, do we need to sign in or what? And then he'll get up and throw his backpack on the thing up here and start to lecture. And it freaks everybody out. Why? Because you don't expect that of a student, do you? When you're in student role. You don't come up and lecture, do you? So when he does, it blows people's minds because that's the structure that underlies the society. There's rules and roles. And you got to go by the role and the rule. If you come into this classroom and we've all got pointy hats on and there's a candle in a cake and the candles are burning and we're singing, you're going to go, "What is going on? What did I miss?" Are you going to sit down and open up your notebook to take notes? Of course not, because the context has changed inside the room, hasn't it? And so you're set up. You understand, as you head in this room, you're set up in a role already. Now, didn't you come from another role this morning? When I got up this morning, I was actually cooked, because I cook breakfast every morning for myself and my family. So I get up and I'm cooking today. And then I turned into driver or chauffeur. Some of you took your kids to school. A mom, a dad, you're in that role. You come in here, you're a student. You go home, you want to study, your kids are home. If they're like my kids when you go home, you're not going to get much studying done, because they're going to want you to be in mommy or daddy role, and they're hungry, and they want you to fix them something to eat. We're actors on a stage like Romeo and Juliet, and you're in the role of Romeo or you're in the role of Juliet, and you're expected to behave a certain way, and you will go along with that or you will get sanctioned. People in this room will sanction you for showing up late, won't they? You know what a sanction is? It's behavior concerning a norm. So the norm is you're supposed to be on time, show up late, and watch the people who don't like late people, who are always on time, look at their watch and go, there's a sanction, isn't it? Ever stand by the elevator and not push the button? Just forget? And somebody walks up and you hadn't pushed the button? Will they be upset with you? Well, what do you think? This elevator's just going to come down by itself? You standing here and you didn't push the button? And we've been standing here all the time. So they'll check and see if you push the button and look at them next time. And they will, won't they? Won't you? After you look at them one time, because that's the rule in public, folks. You can look at somebody by the elevator one time and say hi. Then you can't look at them anymore. In fact, you'll read things and you'll turn around and you'll look up and then you'll glance at them and you'll try not to make eye contact, because that's the rule unless you're talking to them. And some people talk to you all the time in the elevator, but most people don't, right? So Goffman actually there's a guy at Harvard named Garfinkel who's of Goffman's mode. And he asked, now don't do this please, but he asked the students to go home and for 1 hour act as if you don't know your parents. As if you're a stranger living in your mom and dad's house. And so they went home and they said, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, how are you today?" And the parents go, "What? Mr. and Mrs. Jones, would it be okay if I borrowed a glass of water? I'm thirsty." What? You're asking me if you can get water? Are you kidding me? No, I was just wondering, do I need to pay you for a little lunch today? I would like a sandwich. Would it be okay? How much do I owe you for that sandwich? What are you on? What have you been doing? They actually figured out it was a sociologist. They got so mad, they called Harvard and blocked up the telephone lines. Nobody could call Harvard for 2 or 3 hours. So Garfinkel quit doing that one.